that is, to me, a two-sided failure. It's just for individual reasons, own your part,
absolutely.
make it better. Like, you've been in environments, Carlo, where it was not a safe environment to fail.
Yeah.
Can you think of a specific scenario where it was like, even if it was just like a small one, but it was exclusively that reprimand system, and then kind of how you dealt with that?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I ever I don't know if I ever recorded the example. I know that I've said it a few times, and I think it has come up in PAWCast before, but it was just the idea. One of the first rotations that I had when I was in veterinary school is that I had essentially overslept is what it was. So I already kind of had a target on my back from a personality standpoint, being described as too cavalier, and that's just what my personality was. It was full-blown Carlo.
That's to say, it still is, by the way.
Right, yeah, exactly. But part of it was that of what I would interpret as being a very simple mistake. In hindsight, I can't exclusively blame anyone other than myself, because it's true, I overslept, I missed morning treatments, that definitely occurred. But was like the consequence, was that really proportional? Yep. Saying, well, I have to fail this entire rotation because I overslept once. And it's like, okay, well, I understand that is a problem. It's failed patient care. I get that. But really, in hindsight, what it was is I wasn't willing to play the game. That was what my error was. I was young, I was arrogant, and it was humbling in that circumstance to be like, okay, like if I want to play this game appropriately, like I failed, like I clear out failed this rotation. Like how am I going to improve on this? It's like, all right, I need to learn the rules of the game. I need to start playing the game. I need to, just make my way through to the end, because I am almost done. I mean, my educational career up to that point was leading up for May 5th of that year, May 1st of that year. So, I mean, that's at least the one, like, sort of in the educational setting where it was what I would have considered being an insignificant failure had a large amount of consequence associated with it, because it was essentially a reprimand type thing. But for me, now being on the outside, looking back and saying, well, I was pretty arrogant, but, looking back into that and saying, well, what if the culture was different?
Yeah.
What if environmentally it was different? What if we had a system in which, it was an education system? I mean, it was one where there aren't cultural issues, where we have a supportive environment like we do at the clinic, right? So I haven't shown up on time for work in the last 15 years. I just haven't. It's just who I am. Okay. Like
you're never late when you're on Riolo time.
Correct. Exactly. I show up exactly when I was meant to show up. So for me, it's like I understand. I don't even give excuses for it. I'm just like, this is who I am. I just got a lot of stuff that I do. So, but the difference is culturally, of course, now in our current setting, we have other people around us that can help support those weaknesses. Me being tardy, we have other avenues by which patients are still served. We still have a process in place that essentially allows for that to occur. So it's if that basically culture had existed in a less strict fashion in the education system, where we were all a little bit more relaxed, that what I would have interpreted as being a small error wouldn't have been such a dramatic consequence, in hindsight, because it had significant impact on a big part of, it was the very first rotation I had. So it had a big impact on, I lost a vacation block, I had a target on my back for all the other small animal rotations for the next year and a half, so it was tough. It was tough.
So you could even take that one step further, right? And say in that exchange, you had experienced unnecessary conflict.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely acknowledge the mistake.
Yeah.
However, as a portion of that exchange, it's like, okay, how far do we really have to take this? And it went to a level of unnecessary conflict, at which point both sides actually are failing. Right.
Yeah.
So and then you can kind of turn it around and say, all right, so the educational system that was a part of this extended failure, how did it fail forward? It didn't.
Right.
And now for yourself, it's like, well, yeah, that sucks. That was really uncomfortable. It was, and honestly, unnecessary. How do I now 10, 15 years later create a system where that doesn't exist?
Yeah.
Whether it is a means of saving you from yourself or just giving others the opportunity to not have to realize that same problem. It's really just about advancing further along in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And not even to say that what we do in-house is perfect,
sure,
or what the educational institution does is perfect. I think both sides, regardless, are going to have inherent flaws. But it's about going forward. It's about not just standing on, well, this is the way it's always been done.
Right.
It's about how do we make this better, because that is, to me, a two-sided failure. It's just for individual reasons, own your part, make it better. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Thanks for watching. If you want to watch this full podcast, go ahead and click up here. If you want to watch our newest podcast, go ahead and click down here. And if you want to subscribe to see everything else that we do, go ahead and click right here. Thanks.